This video is going to teach you how to survive in the wild. So when you are in a survival situation, you have no way to get back, you're in the woods lost. Here's the order you would do things. Now, what time of day you're lost makes a lot different, because if you're lost and you don't have very much daylight left, you need to hurry and do things. But if you have a ton of daylight and you know that, you can look around and find a better spot to do this at. But when you're in a time rush, just find any spot will do. The most important thing is making a shelter. You can't make it through the night without a shelter. It's dangerous. Shelter is the most important thing. Now, a lot of people always go after food, but you can last days, weeks without food. It won't be comfortable, but you'll live. And that's what the main goal is. So the first thing is finding a shelter, making sure you're waterproof, you're out of the elements. That's the most important thing. And once you have that, I'd say let's say you get there at dark and you make the shelter and you spend the night. So you're going to wake up the next morning, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go find a water source. Because water, you need to stay hydrated, you need to keep that up. That's a big thing. And the first day, when you get lost, you don't want to make a big extravagant shelter. You're going to make an overnight shelter, because chances are if you just put it somewhere, it's not in a great location. So you're going to make it a little overnight thing. Then that next day, after you get some water, you're going to look around, find a spot where there's water near you, a spot where you're in a safe area, hopefully maybe out of the wind or something like that. Pick that area. You don't want to stay where you put your first shelter, okay? So after that, you're going to want to build a shelter in the new area. So now you got a good shelter, you got a water source, and by this time, you're probably getting hungry. So then you're going to try to find ways to get food. There's many ways. One of the main ones is you can actually eat inner tree bark. That it's on a pine tree. The reason I go to this one is people are always trying to trap animals and everything, which, if you have those skills, go for it. But no matter how good you are at trapping, you don't know if an animal's going to go into your trap. It just there may not be any animals there, or you could just be unlucky. Or you may not even be trapping the right way. But if you find a pine tree, there's no odds. You know you can get this inner bark and eat. There's no, it's not a gamble. It's a reliable source. Now, I will say this does kill the tree, but human life obviously takes priority over a tree's life. That's pretty self-explanatory. So, that's a good, reliable source. Another thing is fire. If you're in a warm area, fire's not as important except for keeping away predators. But if you're in a very, very cold area, you probably need that the first night. It can save your life. A lot of people, you gotta be careful though. Obviously, take the right precautions. Put some rocks, make a fire, that way it doesn't spread. I've seen people before have a fire and it's lit their shelter completely on fire. Obviously, you don't want, the whole forest to be on fire, forest fire and all of that. But also, people have it in their shelter, and next thing you know, while they're asleep, their shelter's on fire. But fire is a very helpful thing. Now, getting fire, in my opinion, is probably the hardest thing. There's a lot of ways you can do it, but unless you have a lighter or something like that, it's hard. A flint striker is always nice. Whenever you're hiking or something, you should always have one on you just in case. But if you don't have a flint striker, you're in a pretty bad place. You got to do a bow drill. You can concentrate the sun's light, but that's kind of a really hard thing to do. It takes a lot of patience. The bow drill, that's where you take a piece of wood, put a notch in it, take another piece of wood and put it like this, and then get a bow. To do a bow drill, you have a piece of wood with a notch on the ground. Then you have another one like this, and you have a bow and arrow, and you put the bow around it, and have it to where the string is around this wood completely, and you go like this. And what it does is it spins that wood into that notch, and it can take hours. But when it's doing that, it gets so hot and it creates an ember. Now you already have a tinder bundle. Take that ember, you dump it into the tinder bundle, boom, you have fire. But like I said, that takes so much time to practice. It's just a very tough thing. Some types of wood don't work. So I would always recommend you gotta have a flint striker with you. The flint striker, all you pretty much do is just psh, 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 and have your tinder ready, and then just build off of that. Okay, so now you have a shelter, fire, water, food. Now, you have everything you pretty much need to sustain yourself. You're protected and everything, assuming all those things are very good. Now, you're not going to live out here. You want to be rescued. But you want to have you don't want to try so hard to get rescued and then expend all your energy, and next thing you know, you're lightheaded, you're passing out, and you can't get those things that you needed. So you want to be in a spot where you can sustain yourself, and then while you know you're sustainable, that's when you can really work on being rescued. A big fire is a good one. Smoke signal. Just get a bunch of smoke and try to get yourself saved. But honestly, you should never really be put in a situation like this. If you're going to go somewhere, tell someone you're going there. Don't put yourself in this situation, but this is just like an emergency thing to know. But like I said, just try not to get yourself in that situation. But if you get trapped in the woods, these instructions will help you live. So I hope it never happens to you, but if it does, now you're pretty good.